Hi everyone and welcome to this, my video on second derivatives, part of the specialist maths course here in Australia. I know, it couldn't be more exciting than this. Well, it could probably. We could be outside not watching maths videos for a start. My name's Darren from Maths Guru. Thanks very much for joining me. I really do hope this video is useful, and if it is, could you do me a massive favour and subscribe to my YouTube channel? Yes, very few people watch maths videos, and it's the only really way I get feedback. If you subscribe and like and leave a message below, I'd be deeply, deeply grateful. Now, we're building on the differentiation part of this course. We're going to look at what the second derivative is, all right? And I know for some reason I've said a number. I think it should be a function. But leave it at that for the moment because, well, what is our recap? Well, if you've watched my previous videos, we started off by looking at differentiation and the product rule and the chain rule and the quotient rule and how we can use those and the basics of differentiation. We moved on to the idea of circular functions, inverse circular functions, and now we are moving on to the basic idea of second derivatives and how useful they are. Now, the good thing is we get to use this basic information in methods 3 and 4, because if you're trying to find stationary points, points of inflection, all that type of stuff, well, actually, you can just double differentiate. But whereas in methods, we just go, hey, guys, look, this is a great tool, just do it and it helps you. We don't probably delve deeply into why. And that's what I'm hoping to do now. Well, maybe not too deep, but certainly more than we do for methods. Right, now I'm going to diverge a bit from the textbook here because Cambridge do an amazing job, but I wanted to just sort of talk a little bit more about the idea. All right, so thank you, Cambridge, for allowing me to use your textbooks. You guys rock. I want to look at the graph highlighted below. That's y equals x cubed plus x squared minus 2x minus 1. Now, you know, we're going to look at its graph, not just its derivative, right, its gradient function, but also its second derivative. But of course, as usual, when we look at graphs, there are important points here. There's a maximum there, there's a minimum there, there are crossing points, and obviously it's going on to infinity and beyond, etc., etc., etc. So there's my basic graph. We know that all the points here have some sort of a positive gradient. Now, again, that value, that positive gradient, the actual size of that is getting less and less positive as we get to here, because that's the whole point, that maximum point that has a zero gradient. Then we get more negative. Now, we must get to a point where we reach a maximum negative, right? Because ultimately, it's then got to start getting less and less negative to get back to this point of zero. Now, a lot of people, when they do this, go, oh, no, it becomes positive. No, it doesn't. Because remember, every time I'm drawing a tangent to that curve, it's always a negative. But we're getting more and more negative to a certain point, and then we're going to get less and less negative to a zero. And then once again, we're going to get more and more positive and positive and positive and positive as it goes on. Now, that basically sort of helps with where we're going to go with now. So, using differentiation, what can we do? Well, we differentiate it. We get 3x squared plus 2x minus 2, which is shown in the green graph here. Now, here is my green graph of my differential. And as usual, when we get to all this point, we like this value here and this value here. Now, for those of you who have tied all this together, remember when we differentiate and put it equal to 0, why are we doing that? Well, because that gives us the coordinates of the turning points of my original function. And so, yes, if we look and highlight, that is the 0 of my differential. There is a 0 of my differential, and it ties perfectly up with a maximum and a minimum. Now, obviously, back in methods, while we know the coordinates of these points, yes, so when we actually differentiate and we get this coordinate, that is the x value, isn't it? That's the x value of that maximum or minimum, but it doesn't give me any information as to whether it is a maximum or a minimum. Now, we could test either side, yes, because again, that sort of helps me, because if we look again at this, what is that? That's a maximum. So that's right, maximum here. What do we know about a maximum? It has that. You know, if we were testing either side, we'd have a positive gradient, a 0, and a negative gradient. That's testing either side. Is that clear on the graph? Well, absolutely, because this here, all right, I'm not interested in the magnitude of those points. I'm just looking at the fact that it's above the line. And there above the line means actually I've got a positive gradient. And when it goes below the line, I have a negative gradient. So that is still a negative gradient, and that's still there. Oh, try again. Let's put it on the green, and that's a positive gradient there. And when we tie this up, it actually works. Yeah. So looking at my green graph, it's positive all the way to that point there. So go back to my original function. Yes, there's my gradients. It's positive all the way to there. Then it's a zero gradient. And then it's a negative gradient all the way to this point here. Yep, all the way to here. Now, I'm over-laboring this because it is so critically important to understand that these graphs of functions are just huge in method 3-4 if you understand them, or sorry, the differentials. Yeah, so obviously there we go and there we go. But wouldn't it be great if there was a way of finding out